through traffic, TDS dives up the inside of the Jota Sport and take the lead. Well, the rain beginning to fall as we see the battle for fourth between Greaves Motorsport and Moran Racing unfold as Moran Racing move to the right, hug the pit wall, and on the exit of turn 1 they are side by side with Greaves just about ahead. For now, anyway. And a replay here. The challenge for the lead. TDS Racing squeezing Jota Sport onto the grass there, narrowly missing contact and driving very aggressively to take the lead. Approaching the final hour of the 3-hour race then, and there the battle of the supercars. The Cox Racing Lamborghini in third, closely followed by the SMP Ferrari in fourth. But as they make their way up the hill, it looks like the Ferrari will get the position. TDS Racing car has disappeared since passing the Jota Sport, and now they seem to be struggling as the Alpine is now piling on the pressure, taking advantage of a tow and desperately looking for a way through. Look as they break into the corner. The Alpine just a bit later on the brakes, but still the Jota Sport remains ahead. 43 minutes remain, and the Alpine has made a final pit stop. There they are, leaving the pits now with the Greaves Motorsport car right behind them and crossing the white line. That is against the FIA rules and will mean action from race control. But who is at fault? Let's see the replay. Well, they are very close leaving, but it's the Alpine that slowed on the exit and caused the Greaves car to take evasive action. And what have we here? That looks like the Jota Motorsport car going off. Well, less than 10 minutes left, and here the GTE Ram Racing Ferrari being chased down by the AF Corsa Ferrari for second position. And just behind them, the Z4 of Acuria Cos is keeping up nicely as they come down the hill to the left-hander. Ram holding a position. But here they are, losing more ground as the red Ferrari comes alongside, and they are side by side around the left-hander and into the right-hander. Even as they accelerate away, there is nothing between them. Fantastic driving, and this is the epitome of wheel-to-wheel racing, as again, they come side by side. Even the LMP cars struggling to compete with this battle, as they two cars dominate the track, and eventually it's the AF Corsa to take the position. In the final stages of the race then, here with the race leader, TDS Racing. They may have inherited this lead, but a win is a win, and that will mean points in the championship. TDS Racing were to secure their first win of the season, with Thierry at the wheel and Besh celebrating on the wall. Celebrations in Parc Fermé, and well-deserved too for Malio and Gashnang. Cue the champagne. Overall classification then, and in Imola, it was TDS Racing at the top, followed by Seniortech Alpine and Moran Racing. Further down, Ram Racing of Griffin and Molam took the win in the GTE class, and once again it was the 49 Orica of Hirsch and Chatan in the LMPC. In the GTCs, SMP Racing took their first win of the season. Next stop on the calendar, Red Bull Ring in Austria. This circuit has seen modifications since Red Bull took ownership, and it was a much-loved venue too, with entertainment aplenty. Well, fun not quite the name of the game, but a test of endurance, and the crowd's watching as Brit Oliver Turvey once again was pole sitter and led the field in perfect formation to start the Austrian leg of the championship. Well, clear through turn 1. And a spectacular sight as a full grid of ELMS cars make their way around to complete lap 1 of this 3-hour race. And a comfortable lead already for Oliver Turvey. The battle for second was intense, however, as Moran Racing, Murphy Prototypes and TDS Racing all made a play for the position. Murphy's boys just squeezed ahead, however, and Moran Racing ran wide, forcing them to settle for third. The Ram Racing Ferraris locked into an early battle in the GTE class, and just ahead of them, the bright yellow Ferrari of JMW Motorsport. And And half an hour down, the battle for third was still undecided between TDS Racing and Moran Racing as they continued to swap positions. It was Moran Racing who came out on top this time, however, and managed to settle into third position. Over in the GTC class, it was a battle of the Ferraris with AF Corsa and SMP head-to-head. Then the unusual Ferrari red, white and blue of the SMP car was all over the back of the red AF Corsa and showed no sign of giving up easily. Back to the GTE Ferraris, and the Ram racing car number 53 with the yellow windscreen sticker was chasing down the JMW car just ahead in the battle for second position. Meanwhile, Oliver Turvey received a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which signified the start of the writing on the wall for the Jotasport team in Austria. A 60-second penalty served, and that is the naughty step for racing drivers. A costly mistake for our early leaders. So TDS Racing now leading the race at the Red Bull Ring, and as Jotasport leave the pit lane at just over half race distance, could they pull back their early domination? GTE classification, and it was once again the British duo of Molam and Griffin who led from their Ram Racing teammates, and behind them the JMW Motorsport car. Here is the second place Ferrari in the GTE category. A driver change in the Jotasport team, and Simon Dolan left with a lot of work to do following on from that stop-go penalty. Full stop with fuel and tyres too. But as a result of pushing too hard on cold tyres, Dolan took a spin on his outlap. Things were going from bad to worse. The Senior Tech Alpine, new to the ELMS Championship, was beginning to show fine form, however, and were second to Moran Racing as they made their way through traffic, with some of the back markers allowing Alpine to edge ahead just a little more. Lorenzo Cass was on fine form in the GTC as he continued to push his 458 Italia and hold a class lead, and a beautiful sight as we see two Ferraris side by side, and the Zytek of Simon Dolan just coming up behind them. And here the SMP Ferrari of Ladigan, Babini and Scheiter was again proving that they had what it takes to prove it a force to be reckoned with in this championship as they extended their lead to almost a minute from the second place Ferrari run by AF Corsa. And with only 10 minutes remaining, they just need to bring the car home. For Courier Cos, though, it was far more intense as they made a last-minute fight for the podium finish against the Ferrari. But it was a battle they couldn't win at this point. Continue to battle through the straight though, and pushing just isn't quite enough. For the Ram Racing number 52 Ferrari, it was to be another perfect race as they remained unchallenged for the time being in the GTEs. Gary Hirsch drove the closing part of the race for Team Endurance Challenge number 49 car and held a position we were to see as the only one they could hold in the LMPC class throughout the year, first in class. Closing stage of the race then, and it was a perfect example of the mix of GT and LMP cars gearing up to cross the finish line at the Austrian Red Bull Ring. And TDS Racing was strong once again. Having taken the lead midway through the race, they looked in perfect stead to finish on the top step once again. And that they did, for Matthias Besch celebrating on the pit wall once again. Well, Well, as the cars pull into Parc Fermé, Pierre Thirier celebrates a well-deserved win. And it was another fantastic result for Natasha Gashnang, who was delighted to finish on the podium for the second race in a row. Champagne time once again, with Thirier by TDS Racing on the top step of the podium. In the classification, TDS Racing lead the championship with 65 points from Senior Tech Alpine in second with 48. For the LMP C-Class, Chassin and Hirsch were walking away with things, as were Molam and Griffin in the GTE class with a 25-point lead from their teammates. GTC classification, Akuria Kos had a 1-point advantage over AF Corsa. The penultimate race is located just next to a fun-filled water park and 19 kilometres outside of the culturally diverse city of Budapest. It's the Circuit of Hungaroring, 13 corners, 4.3 kilometres, and this one is tough. The weather conditions in Hungary were pretty abysmal, and qualifying saw the worst of the rain. The GT qualifying was first, and the cars struggled for grip and for tarmac. In fact, it was a lot like powerboating. For the LMP cars, things were just as bad, if not worse, with cars going sideways, full circle, and even backwards. The red flag was finally brought down, and those who had managed the early lap times were the lucky ones. Well, the rain held off at the start of the race, but the track was still very wet and slippery in places, and tyre choice was critical. Brendan Hartley claimed the pole, and his teammate Jonathan Hirschi started the race. It was a good start, but not good enough to hold off the SMP car, who took the lead into the first corner. And just behind the leading pack, a spin for one of the LMP cars. And there is our spinner, car number 48, and there looked to be contact as debris is kicked up. Well, there was contact, and it was between them and the TDS racing car, who had to pit early on to repair damage. So far, it wasn't a good day for our championship leaders. Mechanics removing the front nose cone and making suspension adjustments, and Dunlop engineers looking on. In the lead then, it's Murphy prototypes from Senior Tech Alpine, and they are side by side coming through the left-hander. And performance-wise, very little between the two cars as they remain to dice for position. A reminder why this championship is so exciting for spectators. Murphy's boys just in front then, but Alpine really trying to use their speed to get the toe and get enough to get past. Can they? Well, no, not this time. Side by side again, and this time it's the turn of the Alpine to get the edge and take the lead at just 8 minutes down in this long race. After a monstrous downpour earlier in the day, the weather has thus far stayed dry, and the line is certainly drying out. Problematic for the cars on full wets, like the 77 Porsche in the picture now, as they duck across to the pit wall, trying to get as much moisture in the tyre as possible to avoid problems. The Alpine looking strong still as he makes his way through the traffic. And a replay, this of the TDS Racing